Hi, I'm Jane.
And I'm Jen.
And we're SpielMill.
And we've been counting down our top 100 games of all times as of 2023.
That's right. And we're up to our number 31 to 40.
Yes, it's very exciting. We're getting to some really good games. I may have said this the last time, but when I was going through the list, I was like, why isn't this higher? This is too low. And I looked at the top of my list. I was like, oh, well, it's not going above any of those. So these are just really good games.
Hard to put where everything's just fantastic. And,
yep.
Can move up and down depending on how you're feeling. But, it is what it is. Games got to settle somewhere.
Absolutely. Caveat, we made this list at the beginning of 2023. And so I think, there are games that we've played recently that might bump some of these, or some of these might go higher or lower, but it is what it is. We're going with it.
And what's most important is all these games made their own top 10 of players, and we're in the top 10.
We are. They love us. They all love us. We're great. All right. So do you want to start us off? What's your number 40?
My number 40 is, some people call it a roll and write. It is Dinosaur Island Roar and Write.
Ooh, that's a good one, yeah.
So this is kind of a roll and write version of the full game Dinosaur Island, but it's more than a typical roll and write. It's got a whole big table presence, and so I consider it more of a big, board game with a roll and write mechanic. But it's a fantastic game. It's featuring its Jurassic Park on board game.
Yeah,
roll and write-ish.
This is one we couldn't adapt to our chair games because it does have such a big table presence.
Yeah, there's no way. It's not even a
really satisfying game.
Inkling. But yeah, it's a satisfying game. It's really fun. We've only played it a couple times. I hope to get it more to the table. This year we're focused more on getting games off our shelf of shame, except for like Feldfest, which is coming. And, that's just part of our thing. We enjoy
playing new games.
And we just have a big shelf of shame from me being sick. And so we're trying to knock it down. And then, then we can sort of savor the time playing the games over again. But this is one that'll definitely get back to our table at some point. So.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about is how many new games there are in this.
This is new to my list. This is one. So we last did this in 2020. And since then, in this 31 to 40, 5 games are new to my list. And 5 were on the list back then.
I have 6. This is tied for one of my biggest deciles of top 10. So,
well, my number 40 is Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. What is your number 40?
My number 40 is new to the list. It was new to us at the beginning of this year. I think I just played it when we made the list, and that is Founders of Teotihuacan.
Ah, yeah.
This is by Philippe Glauis.
This is fine. This is good.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
It is really good. It's by Board and Dice, and it is a very sort of puzzly game. You've got your own board, and you can only build in the quarter of your board that your meeple can see, or I guess the half of your board that the meeple can see. So it's really interesting trying to plan out your moves and think about where's your meeple going to be in 3 turns. And I really want to do action X, but I need resources for that, and to get resources is going to take me 2 turns. But in 2 turns, I'm not going to be anywhere near where I want to be to build what I want to build. And it is that it's tense, and I really enjoy it. It's not as heavy as Teotihuacan or the other T games, but I feel like it does give some of the sort of similar feel of being able to choose from a bunch of different actions, and it being kind of puzzly.
But one complaint about this game is I really wanted the pyramid pieces to be more like the Teotihuacan pyramid pieces.
Yeah, they're just
they're fine.
Cardboard,
they're cardboard,
right?
But
But love those pyramid pieces.
Yep.
It's got a neat mechanism where when you put your worker down, the strength of that action is based on how many workers are in that spot. So as you go back and put another worker on, it gets stronger.
But if you're first there, you get a bonus.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat how the action selection system works.
Yeah, a lot to this game. So that's my number 40.
Yeah. Nice choice. Okay, my number 39 is not new to this list. It is up 23 spots from 2020. It's kind of a classic, and it's something that we enjoyed because we did at one time brew beer, and it is Brew Crafters.
Yes, that's a fantastic
So this
game.
is from Dice Hate Me Games. Ben Ralston is the designer, and the artists were Jackie Davis and Christopher Kirkman. And this is just a fantastic game about brewing beer. It's really about having your own brewery and potentially brew pub and tasting room, and you can do all kinds of things in this game, especially with the modular expansions. And that's the best way to play it, is with all the modular expansions. So that's the way I recommend playing it.
Yeah, this was on my list last time, actually. And we do love this game. It is really good.
Yep.
And if you like beer, the theme comes
last time
really
you
well.
mean in your 40s?
50s.
50s? Okay.
Oh, 57. We're in our 30s.
Yeah.
No, it was two
videos ago. Okay.
I don't know. Numbers, not my thing.
Numbers are numbers. So yeah, Brew Crafters is a great game. It's they more recently designed homebrewers, which is more in theme with what we do, but I don't like it as much. It's a lighter game.
It's much lighter.
It's so depending on what you like, though, maybe it's more of a gateway game, homebrewer. So depending on what kind of games you're into or who you're playing games with, that might be a more optimal game. But I like Brew Crafters a lot myself, and I tend to like heavier games. So
yeah, actually, if you're just getting into games or mostly playing lighter games, Brew Crafters or homebrew would be a great step to get to Brew Crafters.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my 39.
All right.
Brew Crafters.
My 39 is new to the list as well. And we've had it for a while.
39 wasn't new to the list.
I meant my...
Oh, it's for you, yeah.
Made sense. So my 39 is new to the list for me, as well as my last one. And we've had it for a hot minute, but haven't been able to play it until this year, and that is Suburbia. So we have the big collector's edition. We went all in on this, and I freaking love this game. What an enjoyable, clever game. It is by Ted Alsbach. The artist is Taylor Bogle, and it's from Bezier Games. And it's kind of tile laying, and so, things score based on what they're next to or what they're not next to, or how many you have in your city. And there's a sort of like a rotation of the tiles, so they get cheaper as they go, but there might be something that's really desirable, so maybe you want to get it even though it's more expensive because you don't want the person you're playing with to get it. But a lot of calculation there, and anytime you give me a tile-laying game with variable scoring conditions based on what's on the tiles and how you lay them and where you put them, I'm going to be in. That's just something that I love. I can tell you that from basically this whole list. So Suburbia, we have the collector's edition, but it doesn't have to be the collector's edition. You can buy any one you want. It is my number 39.
Little fact, it is my 101.
What? Oh, wow. Okay.
It just missed my top 100.
Yeah. Okay.
By one. I looked because I was like, I don't remember this in my top 100, but it should be. But it was close.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many good games.
So many good games. And then, you have to make choices, and choices are hard.
On any given day, I might order the list differently too.
All right. So my number 38 is new to my list. Ooh. We've actually only played this once.
Oh.
But I liked it so much. We played it online for Gen Con Online, I think.
Okay.
And it's Russian Railroads.
Oh, yes.
Really, really enjoyed this one. Designer Helmut Oli and Leonard Orgler, and the artists are Martin Hoffman and Klaus Stefan. And but it's such a cool game. And at this point, I don't remember enough to talk about the gameplay in depth or anything like that. But it was such an interesting game. You had such interesting choices throughout the game, from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing. It has a really good decision space. Some games have that and some games don't. We just played Marrying Mr. Darcy, which I actually quite enjoyed, but it didn't have a really good decision space. It was largely, you kind of did what the card told you to do.
Very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, not just lucky, but you didn't have much of a decision.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, okay, so I have to do this or this.
Yeah, exactly.
But Russian Railroads had good decision space.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. And I think that's why I like a lot of the games that I like, is they have that good decision space.
Yeah.
You got to really think about it.
So my 38 is new to the list from 2020, and it's Russian Railroads.
All right. My number 38 is also new to the list.
All right.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's from one of our favorite designers, and that is Space from John D. Clare. Artist Chris Walton, and published by Alderac Entertainment Group. This game is really neat. So you're buying like cards. Now I can't remember what's on the cards, like ships, right? Ship parts. I think it's ship parts or ships or whatever. And then you put them on your board underneath, and you've got 1 through 12 on your board. And when you put it under the board, what's left is an action that you get to do. And every time your opponent rolls a dice that has that number on it, you get to do that action. So there's no downtime in this game. And you can really, go hard on one number and have it be like this super mega action when you do it, or you can space it out. So no matter what happens, you get action. And it's a really, what am I trying to say? Eventful game in that there's just no downtime. You're always doing and thinking and moving and going. And I really like that about it. It just makes it really satisfying to play. And it's relatively short and not too heavy.
Yeah. No, it's a good one.
Yeah. So that's my 38, Space.
All right. My 37. Now, this is a game I actually played many years ago, several times, mostly online actually, and but it wasn't in my 2020 top 100, so it obviously surged. And but we played it more recently, at least within the last few years, and it's now here at number 37. That's Tikal.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be. All
okay,
right.
And Tikal is from Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer, a kind of classic design team. Artists Marius Gunzel, Paul Mafian, Christophe Swy, and Franz Vollwinkel. And sorry, that was a lot of names. And Ravensburg's publisher, Super Meeple, and many others. But Tikal is a fantastic game about archaeology, and it's neat. It's just got a lot, moving around. You got these different pyramids you're moving to and trying to get different treasures and stuff. And
yeah. It's definitely not on my list because I've only played it a couple times with you in person, and I think you've got more, that online experience cements it.
A big thing for me, fun. I just find it immersive, theme-wise, and kind of helps prop it up a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but this is a very good game, and that's my number. We're at 37. 37 Tikal.
Yeah. My number 37 is not new to the list, but it is up 35 places. It was at 75 last time. And that is Teotihuacan, City of Gods.
Okay.
So this is from Daniel Tascini. The artist is Odysseus Stamaglu, and it's from Inskin Games. It's one of the fabled tea games. It's a heavy game, but we love heavy games. So there's that. The last time it was so low because one time we played it wrong, and you
never
destroyed me.
So untrue.
You crushed me by like 5, an order of magnitude of 5. It was ugly, and it was just so frustrating, and I think I was in tears by the end of it before we realized what was going. Hey. Felt rather mocking.
That
was me. It might have been more like this. But we played it again this year, and much better. We played it right, and we probably still won every game, but I did much better and was competitive.
I don't remember who won what games.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. Building.
Well, we had it in a 5x5. We got to play with the expansions.
Yep. And again, what I love about all these tea games is there are multiple things that you need to do. There's multiple ways of scoring, but you have to do them all. You can't ignore anything. You know, there's going to be a pyramid or something that you're going up, and that's going to determine how many points you get for whatever. There's going to be other ways to score, buildings that you build, things like that. You cannot skip on anything. If you skip on something, you're definitely not going to win. And so it's just a balancing act. You know, talk about decision space. It's, you know, just trying to make sure that you are not, or that you're like keeping up each one of the things that you have to do, from building buildings to moving up on the tracks to whatever else. Like now I can't remember what you have to do, but and it is really satisfying. Plus the element I love is that your dice, every time you move your dice, it goes up a pip, right? So if it's a 1, you move it, it moves up to a 2. And that determines how powerful your action is going to be. But when your dice hits a 6, it ascends. It joins the gods. And so, again, like figuring out that puzzle of aging your dice appropriately. You really want some of them to ascend, but you really also like having those high value dice. It's so good. It's so chunky. Oh, it's so juicy. There's so much here. So, Teotihuacan, that's my number 37.
Good choice. I love Teotihuacan. My number 36, speaking of heavy games, is a game we actually have not played, I think, since the last time we did this list. But we did play it before, and it dropped 5 spots since then, so partially probably because we haven't played it. But I really, really loved this game when we played it, and it's Mysthea.
Yes.
And this was a beautiful, beautiful game from Tabula Games. Designers are Martino Chiacchiera and Marta Chiacasasi. And artist is Travis Anderson, and it's got beautiful miniatures. It's got the whole thing going on, but it's a lovely, heavy game.
Yeah.
Like I said, we haven't played this before the list last time, so I'm not going to get into the mechanics in deep. But wow, there's a lot going on. You're fighting against these beasts, and
the beasts get bigger, and
moving
more
around in
powerful.
these discs, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is definitely a really good game. And I don't think it's on my list for that very reason. It's been so long since we played it. I don't really remember the mechanics. I do remember loving it. And I think it was the first game I painted. So
you did.
Which just
it's
made it that much more fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 36, Mysthea.
My number 36 is not new to the list, but it is up 44 spots. It was 80 last time, and now 36.
It's quite a jump.
It is quite a jump. You might know it as soon as I start to describe. We didn't love this one when we first played it. It was really well regarded. Everybody was saying, you know, it was the it game of the moment. So we bought it, we played it, and we were both like, I don't know about that. But the more we played, the more we liked it. And that is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh, yeah.
So that is from designer Wolfgang Warsch, artist Dennis Lahausen and Wolfgang Warsch, and it's from Schmidt Spiel. And this is a super accessible game. It's pretty much, you know, a luck fest. It's push your luck. You're drawing things out of a bag, and if you get too many of one kind, your pot explodes and you face consequences. But it still has some decision space. You do have to decide when to stop and when to push your luck. And sometimes it's just worth exploding your pot because, you know, you need the
It is.
Yeah. And there's that dopamine hit of buying stuff every round. Everybody knows how much fun it is to buy a new board game. It's almost as much fun to buy your tiles in Quacks of Quedlinburg. And we really enjoy like mixing it up and pulling randomly, like, okay, what's red going to be this time? And what's the orange? Well, no, orange is always the same.
Explosion!
Yes. And so, yeah, that's my number 36 is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
All right, it's a good choice. Love that game. Sometimes hate that game when my luck is going wrong.
Absolutely.
But love that game.
Yes.
All right, my number 35 is a game that's new to the list, but it is fantastic. It is super, super beautiful. Super beautiful. It's a very serene setting, and it is Tang Garden. Yep. Just love this game. It's got beautiful little gazebo things and whatever they're called, and And you're placing, you got flowers, and you're placing miniatures around facing different directions, trying to see different things in the landscape like deer and stuff. It's such a neat, pretty game. And the gameplay, I would say, is light to medium, and it's medium light. And so it's very accessible, and it's quite strategic and enjoyable, and of course it's just beautiful. So no arguing there. It's designed by Francesco Testini and Perluca Zizi, and Matthew Mizik did the art, and Thundergriff Games is the publisher.
And I think that actually the first video, the last one we left up, or the only one we left up from when we were doing videos before, is the Tang Garden playthrough. So it's sped up.
It's not a playthrough, it's a time lapse.
It's a time lapse. So you can see how beautiful it is. It is absolutely gorgeous. And of course we painted the pieces, because how could you not? And it is got to be about the prettiest game we own. It's darn close to it.
It's pretty gorgeous. And we have more stuff coming for it from the last Kickstarter. And very excited.
Yep.
So that's my number 35, Tang Garden. What a beautiful game.
Beautiful. Okay, well, my number 35 is new to the game, and this is new to the game.
New to the game. It's new to the game. It used to be a book.
It's not one of the ones that used to be a book. This has always been a game, as far as I know. Actually, no. First, it was a historical event. Then it was a game.
Oh.
And that is Bastille.
Yes.
From Christopher Bear and artist David.
Storm the Bastille.
Artist David Cockrid, and it's from Queen Games. And of course, we say this every time we talk about it, but our anniversary is Bastille Day. So how could we not love this game? And it's actually just so much fun. It is a really solid game that we enjoy playing, and I can't remember anything about it right now, which is funny because we've played a lot of this game.
Well, it's kind of basically worker placement. You have these shields with numbers on them, and the higher number the shield, the more powerful it is. And basically, what its main power is that it gets to jump other lower numbers. So if you played a 2 shield, I play a 3 shield, but after you, my 3 shield actually jumps you and gets to do the action. I get to do the action first. But also, it's a little more powerful depending on where you go as well. The action, depending on what shield you play. So it's really quite fun.
Yeah, that's right. And I love that, where you have to kind of anticipate what the other player's going to do, what they want, and judge what do you absolutely have to have, what do you really need. And like, maybe you have to put your highest shield there, even though you're not sure if your opponent is going to go there, but if they do and they scoop you, it's a critical loss for you. And so there's just a lot of decision space. There's a lot of thought that goes into planning out each turn, because of course what you do is you set out your shields during like the planning phase, and then you take your turns. And I really like that mechanism where you're kind of planning as a group. You're kind of thinking about what you're going to do and setting it up, and then you go and you do it, because then there's even more that happens. Are you going to take what I wanted, and then I've got to rethink it?
It's really strategic, and we're obviously partial to it because it is our anniversary Bastille Day, and it's a big to us. So,
But even if it weren't, we would still like this game.
Yes. It's not. It just helps it bolster it a little.
It does. It does.
So
it might not be 35 if it weren't our anniversary. Although I don't know. If it were a crappy game, I don't think it would. Bastille, the theme, would save it. So, all right. Well, that was my number 35. What's your number 34?
Well, my 34 is a crossover within this 10, and I'll say this: it dropped 26 spots on my list, but because I kind of redid the whole list from scratch, so I think that's why it's still really high, obviously.
Yeah.
And we just played it on a 5x5. It is Teotihuacan, City of the Gods, and I love this game. Very, very enjoyable. We got to play with the late pre-classic period or expansion or whatever. It's like a modular expansion, so we played not with every element of it, but with multiple elements of the expansion.
They were good.
They were good, and they really added to the game even more. So enjoyed every play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really fun. You're moving around. It's got some really neat mechanisms. Obviously, you're building the awesome 3D pyramid in the center. The dice movement is really clever in how it works.
Yep.
you can only move 2 or 3, but then an action's more powerful the more dice you have in that location. There's also, but you can also lock dice in these little like prayer areas off to the side and do actions there. So there's a lot of choices, and you can go. There's different ways to attack it strategically. Yeah. Which makes it very interesting, and it's just a great game. So my 34 is a fantastic game crossover, and you already talked about it, so I don't want to say too much. Teotihuacan, City of Gods.
Excellent. Great choice. My number 34 is not new to the list, and it's almost stayed put. It's down 1. Ooh. It was 33 last time, 34 this time, and that is Mystic Vale by John D. Clare.
Yeah.
Also a beautiful
second appearance from John D. Clare in this 10.
That's true. As I said, he's a designer we really love.
Yep.
The artist is Rafe Berzak, Storm Cook, Andrew Gaia, Catherine Guerva, and 5 more, which is actually what my list literally says.
This was further down on my list, but it was on my list.
And
I think.
It's from AEG. I will say that we played it with the expansions this time, and it kind of broke it. We were less than excited about the way it played with some of the expansions. Yeah. It really was some of the so you got
just
like
kind of imbalanced.
It imbalanced. It was some of them were really overpowered, and you would get, you know, there were a couple different things you could get. You could get like a character that stayed with you, or you could get a power or a shield or whatever. And some of them were really, really strong, and some of them weren't. And we hand them out randomly. We don't like pick. I mean,
sometimes it was like, oh, this power is so awesome, I'm doing amazing. But it wasn't because of me, it's because I just had an awesome power.
Yeah, yeah. And meanwhile, my power kind of sucked. So I'm like, whoa, shit. You know, it's like 100 to 2. Yeah, so that was...
That veil got mysticer.
We still love the game. But those special powers really imbalance it. And I think
I liked it better without the expansions. But I like the special powers. Oh, it's such a...
Yeah, I know. I want the special powers to be good and balanced. And so you're not so... there's no hope of winning.
Been doing something wrong. I feel like we must have been.
I don't know. We must have been.
I did misplay one of them. We did figure that out. But
even so, it was still really strong.
We played it in a 5x5, so we played it several times.
Yeah.
So. And
the powers were great. As you say, it was really, they added a lot to the game. But again, they were so imbalanced that if you had the wrong mix of them, there was no hope for one of us to win.
Yeah.
Like there was just no hope. There was one game where there was no chance I was going to win. That was clear early on. There was another one where there was no chance you were going to win from early on. So that kind of broke it. But that aside, if you take those out, I still freaking love the game. It's a beautiful game. It's card crafting. So you've got these clear card sleeves, and you're putting things into the cards. You're buying them and putting them in the cards, and so you're kind of, it's deck building, but also you're making the cards and making them powerful. And
I love the theme of this game.
And the theme is wonderful. It's very nature driven, nature spirit driven, taking back nature from blight. So, you know, we've talked a lot about how much we didn't like the expansions. We love the base game, and that's why it's my number 34.
Good choice. Good choice. My number 33 is something we also played recently on a 5x5. It is up 3 spots on my top 100 from the last time we did this list in 2020. It is Orléans.
Yes.
And Orléans is a Euro game, bag builder. You're pulling tokens out of a bag. You grab like 7 or 8 of them, depending on how many you can pull at that time in the game. Up to 7 or 8 of them. And then you place them on different actions, depending on what you pull. And so a big strategy is building your bag so that you're always pulling out tokens that you can use, because sometimes you can't use them. But then if you can't use them, you have to make decisions like, well, if I leave them not on an action, then I only get to pull 6 out of my bag next turn. So trying to optimize placing them on the board so you don't make mistakes, and that they can be played the next round. Very interesting, very dynamic game, very fun. The designer's Rainer Stockhausen, artist Clemens Franz. Dip Games is the publisher. There's really many publishers. Like
Ours is TMG, maybe? Yep.
Ours is TMG. So we got the deluxe edition. Yay! And we got the Invasion expansion, but we didn't play the co-op version, which people rave about. So we haven't experienced that yet. But I really enjoy it. So it's up 3 spots to number 33. It is Orléans.
I look forward to playing that for sure. Again, the co-op version.
Yep.
My number 33 is up 33 spots from last time. It was 66 last time. And it's interesting. We have not played this since our first list. And I think that its placement is sort of the reverse effect of recency bias. It's a game that I know I love. And so when I was doing the Pub Meeple rankings, a lot of times it was like, well, duh, yeah, of course I'd rather play that. But it's been so long since we played it. I think if we played it again, I don't know where it would end up. Maybe here, maybe lower, maybe higher. Who knows? But it is a really good game. And that is Viticulture. Essential Edition, Tuscany expansion, whatever. I don't know. Whatever. You can add to it whatever you want.
That's me holding wine and toasting.
Yeah. Excellent.
I don't actually have wine on me, so.
And this is designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Alan Stone. The artists are Jackie Davis, David Montgomery, Beth Sobel, and it's published by Stonemaier Games. And you're making wine. You've got a vineyard. You're, building buildings that you need to make wine. You've got visitors that come in, and you're growing grapes, processing the grapes, making wine, and selling it. What is not to love about that?
Sounds lovely.
I mean, it's one of our favorite themes, of course. Alcohol.
The theme goes a long way with us.
It does. The only thing we don't like about this is it has the patented Stonemaier end, which we freaking hate. I almost swore because I hate it that much. And that is where it ends suddenly. Like once somebody achieves a certain objective, that's it. The game's over. We house rule it every time because we both hate that. We want another turn after it to give everybody a chance to do, one sort of like last move to build out their plans.
The cars can be lucky too. I sometimes drive me a little crazy.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's a good game.
It is. That's my number 32.
All right, the next one, my number 32, is The Big Climber in the group, up 35 slots from 2020. This is one where we've played the expansion, and I don't know that I like the expansion, but I don't love it. I don't know that has anything to do with why I climbed. I think I just love this game. I always enjoy it. Just enjoy it, and that's Heaven and Ale.
Yeah.
And this is a game with a ratchet track, as some people call it, where you move in one direction on the main board, and as you move around the board and the main board, you can move forward but never backwards. You can move actually as far as you want, but if you move too far, you're kind of jumping over things and missing things.
Yeah. And
you don't want to do that, and you get less to do as you go around the track, because as soon as you go around the track, you have to stop and wait for everybody else. So you don't want to go too fast. And you want to optimize your actions, but sometimes you want to get there before the other player does. Very important. So, and then you've got a pasture board, different pastures, and you're placing tiles on them, and so much fun.
Sunny side, shady side, different effect based on where you put it. So good.
And this has one of the more unique scoring tables of any game, where you're moving on a score track, and you have 5 discs or hexagons, and it's where your last hexagon is positioned as your score, but then you could sort of move forward while you move the other ones back, but it's like 5-1. So you want to balance out moving them forward as much as possible so that you're not spending 5-1 to move the last guy forward, because you're not going to get more than a space or 2 or 3. Yeah. And overall, especially with 5 to move. Yeah. So, it's a fantastic game, and designed by Michael Kiesling and Andreas Schmidt. Artist is Christian Fiore, and Spiel's the publisher. What a great game.
Yeah, so. I really do love this game. There's that pasture board is so interesting. I remember like we'd played it and then it had been a couple months and I was dreaming about it and I couldn't remember what game it was, but I was dreaming about that pasture board. And I was trying to describe it to you to like, I want to play this game. So
sounds about right.
Yeah.
She dreams about board games a lot.
Giant nerd.
As we all do.
Yeah.
But yes, that's my number 32, Heaven and Ale, which is heaven. It's redundant.
It is. My number 32 is new to the list. And it is a big monster of a story game, and that is Lord of the Rings Journeys to Middle-earth. It is from Nathan Hayek and Grace Holdinghouse, and Fantasy Flight Games, and there was no artist listed, so I'm not sure why. But this game, we love Lord of the Rings. It's so thematic. We only have, I think, maybe 1 or 2 plays in, and I'd love to get it to the table more, but I just really love that sort of like exploring and turning over a tile to find out what is in the next territory and fighting the bad guys and sort of fantasy themed type of game. That is so much fun, and it really does evoke sort of the Lord of the Rings feeling to it. So that is my number 32, Lord of the Rings Journeys to Middle-earth.
Good game. Yeah, good choice. All right, my number 31, I believe, is new to the list. It is new to the list. Though I thought I would have played this before. Maybe not. Maybe this is more recent. But this is a game, and you love this game. I know that as well. It is a fantastic civilization game called Through the Ages. And what a game. It's designed by Vlada Chvátil. Is that how you say his name?
Chvátil.
Yeah. Artists are Philippe Mermak Radem-Pek, Jakub Pulitzer, and Milan Vavron. And I butchered the heck out of those. Czech Games Edition's the publisher. And yeah, this is just a wonderful civilization game. It's a long game. You're building out your civilization. Takes a lot of table space. Yeah. And it's really fun. So you get to choose from different leaders throughout history and stuff like that. We have the leaders expansion as well. Really fun.
I think this was in my top 10 the last time we did the list.
Is it not this time?
Well, I'm just surprised it wasn't on your list at all. No, I'm saying if it's new to your list and it was in my top 10. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. It was not on my list the last time.
Okay, so I was wrong. I'm looking at
I
think another version of my list.
I think I had sort of in my head
went through increments.
Reordered the top 10 and just knew that it was in my top 10. Okay. But it wasn't on the list, so I apologize. Slight version.
So my 31 is Through the Ages.
Such a good game. Yeah, I really love this game. We might talk more about this later. My number 31 is new to the list. And it is a big monster of a game as well, and that is Return to Dark Tower.
Ooh.
Yes, we really loved this.
Yeah,
It was so much fun. Its designers Tim Burrell-Sayard, Isaac Childress, Noah Cohen, Rob Davio, 2 more. I apologize to you 2 more because that's all it said when I copy and paste off of BGG. And it's of course from Restoration Games because it's a remake of a game that was popular in I think the 70s and 80s. It had a big tower in the middle that made noise, and it still does. It has a cube tower, and we love a cube tower, and it makes all sorts of fun noises when you put things in, when you put your cubes in, and it has an app that helps you kind of know what you're doing and who you're fighting. So when you move into the next territory, it's going to let you know, is there anybody there you have to fight, and what that fight is going to look like. And I've kind of come around to some app-assisted games. It's got to have a lot about it to make me want to use an app-assisted game, but this one does.
Yeah, I'm not as big into them, but I enjoy them. And this just missed my top 100 as well.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I don't go out and look for app-assisted games, but it used to be that I was like, I don't want an app in my game. I'm playing a board game. And now I'm a little bit more, won over to the fact that there can be a place for them.
Yep.
And Return to Dark Tower is just a great chunky sort of exploration and battling co-op game, which just makes a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does. That's a really good game. So, yeah, I enjoyed that play a lot too. I don't know why it didn't quite make me a top 100. It could have. It's hard. It's hard. So many good games. So that's our 31 to 40. And we have 3 more videos to go. Sorry there was kind of a gap here before this one. I wasn't feeling too well, so we haven't been filming as much.
And I'm real busy at work right now, so
yep. So
struggle.
So it's a struggle, but we'll try to get the next one out a little quicker. And you know, I don't know, but this is we have 3 more videos to go. Our 20s, our teens, and our top 10. Ooh. Top 10's exciting.
It is exciting. So I hope you found something here that interests you, that you might want to play. Let us know if you've played any of these games and what's your favorite.
Comment below and ask us any questions if you can.
Like, subscribe, do all that stuff because it helps us.
Yes, please. And just enjoy yourself playing games. Remember, the world is your oyster when it comes to board games.
I thought you were going to say the world is terrible right now. Enjoy board games because that's true
partial.
too.
I mean, it is. Anyway, so remember, every day that you game
is a holiday.
Bye.
Bye.